standing on our mat today. Um, we're going to move through Dasha Chalana and start to warm up the joints and start to get synovial fluid moving through us before we begin some bigger movements in our practice. So I find it a little bit more steadying if I bring my hands to my hips, and then you're just going to send one foot back, whichever one you want to start with. You're going to roll out the ankle and the big toe on that side. So dasha means 8, chalana is churning. So you want to churn the joint 8 times in both directions. And then just come back to Tadasana, to standing, and start to let the movement, the contrast, right? Start to let that inform you about how sensation and energy and vitality starts to make its way into your body. So feeling the difference between the right foot and the left foot, that difference in sensation can start to help us use the body as an anchor in our practice, help us use the body as a tether into an understanding of, really today the idea is an understanding of what I can control and what I cannot control, right? And to just find, building on that theme of last week, of finding the element of spiritual surrender, right? That just helps us when we are faced with things that we can't do a whole lot about. So then we'll go ahead and we'll move to the other side. You can bring your hands back to your hips and then start to move around 8 times in both directions. Come back to Tadasana. Just pause. Let your awareness drop into the body. And anything that arises, anything, any sensation, whether it be pain or just a sense of fluidity, anything that we are wishing we might experience different, the judgments that inevitably come through the thinking mind in our practice of good or bad or right or wrong, we want to notice when these arise. It's natural, it's inevitable, it's just part of being human. But then we want to just let them go, just acknowledge the thoughts, acknowledge the experiences, and allow it to be held with unconditional positive regard, right? I see that as like the practice for spiritual surrender, is to just notice when my mind is doing what it does and ruminating and planning and wishing for something, a different outcome or a different experience, and then just let it go. Sometimes I'll say something like, oh, how human of me, right? Just kind of acknowledging that natural capacity of being human, and then allowing myself to hold the experience with unconditional positive regard, whatever arises. And we can see how this then becomes like a seed, a practice for the bigger things in life, the bigger ways of suffering or feeling like there's no ground under our feet, the big uncertainties, right, that we are all experiencing at this time. And maybe while we're going through it, it doesn't feel okay to just surrender to it. Maybe especially if it's a practice that's new to us, so we can just start with the body. Can I just surrender to the sensations and the thoughts and the feelings that arise in my body in my practice? Next, we're going to move to the knees. So just a gentle bend in the knees. Your hands will come to the tops of the knees, and you're going to circle 8 times in both directions. And then come back to standing. Sometimes I like to imagine my body like a vessel, like a container. And as the vitality begins to rise in my toes and in my feet, and now it's moving up to my knees, right? I can start to feel shifts in energy for me around the energy of my knees always feels like temperature, right? It always feels like cool or hot. So I can begin to feel and experience this vessel that is my body filling with vitality, filling with aliveness, filling with wellness as we move through these 8 chalanas. So next is the hips. I always like to just bring my hands right to the back of my hips, take the feet a little bit wider, and then we'll just circle 8 times in both directions. And notice as you move, right? How does temperature throughout the whole body begin to shift? Is there any little bit of warmth that you can feel rising in you? Just very, very subtle. Any little bit shift in sensation, right? Even tingling or vibrancy, a feeling of really being alive and present in the skin. Pause when you're complete. Turn your palms forward, find Tadasana, and now feel your vessel filled all the way up through the hips. Even if some parts, right, our experience of our own body, some parts might be a little bit more dense or might feel like we don't have as much awareness or connectivity in that part of our body. Totally natural and totally fine. What you're doing now, if you can feel it, it's through feeling. If you can't feel it, it's through imagining, right? That your body is filled with aliveness and vitality now, all the way up through the hips. We'll move through the next chalana, which is empty coat sleeves. So the arms come on the horizon. We turn one direction and bring one arm in front and one arm in back. Back to the center and then over to the other side. Just moving, breathing 16 times. And see if you can just make it a little fluid, right? Instead of being like rigid. We want to see if we can just bring a little bit of fluidity, whatever that is for you. Is there any crunching or clicking that you feel in the shoulders or the connective tissue? Once that's complete, come back to center and now feel the aliveness, right? Moving up through the torso as we move in those little twists from side to side, up and down the arms and into the fingertips. Just feeling again that vessel filling with aliveness. The shoulders come up, around, and forward next 8 times. And then up, around, and back 8 times. Feeling all the way up to the collarbone, the body alive, filled with vitality, the cells, right, that vibration that's begun to present itself, that energy that's begun to rise now is starting to create clear communication between all the cells of our being so that there's like optimal functioning, right, between the brain and the organs, within the nervous system, all of the ways in which there is communication going on inside of the body, right, as we begin to fill with vitality, as we begin to create a sense of awareness and the aliveness of our cells, we can just know that there is optimal communication going on when that happens. The neck will be next. So just take the nose in a circle. You can start small and then make bigger like a spiral, or you can stay small or stay big 8 times. Remember, if your eyes are closed and you start to feel dizzy, just open your eyes and it should alleviate that. Also remember here at the cervical spine, the neck, you want to make sure that there's no grinding, right? Grinding is the body saying, hey, make a smaller circle, please. Yeah, and then you'll notice if you do, you coax a little bit more synovial fluid, create a little bit more suppleness there, and then you can take the circle bigger. And then that, maybe not in the first time of doing it, maybe not within the first 8 rounds, but continuing Dasha Chalana on your own on a daily basis, you'll notice those clicks, those pops, that crunchiness in the body just starts to dissipate. Even your first round, you no longer feel all the crunchiness that sometimes presents itself in the body. Okay, we've got the wrists. So your forearms come up in front of you. Your hands come together, you interlace the fingers, and then you steeple your index finger. And then from here, you're making like a figure 8. 8 times. And then you'll pause and you'll back up that figure 8 8 times. And then you'll release, feeling, right? Can you just even come up to the chin and still feel that energy, still feel that movement in the neck? Can you experience it pouring down through the chest and the shoulders, down the arms and into the fingertips? Can you presence yourself so deeply inside the vast sea of sensation that exists in the body without getting carried away, on any one stream of thought, energy, or sensation, but just allowing yourself to hold the experience of your body in its entirety for just a second. Our last chalana is the spinal wave. So with the spinal wave, we want to make a curve in the low back. So just kind of press the sit bones back, lifting the chest, right? So I'm moving into a back bend here. My knees are soft. And then I stick the butt out as I fold forward and let my head go and release my hands down. On an inhale, you'll rise, you'll come all the way up. Sometimes I like to press the pelvis forward and find a back bend with the pelvis forward. And then I'll press the pelvis back, lift the chest, exhale, fold forward. This is our second one. Inhale, come up. And then you'll do 6 more on your own. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. When those movements are complete, nothing to rush, nothing to rush. Just join us whenever you're ready. And when those movements are complete, come back to Tadasana. Experience your body entirely like a container, a vessel for wellness, for balance, for harmony, for contentment, for peace, for joy. Feel the way that you can just orient yourself towards those thoughts, those feelings. And by so doing, you bring a little bit of it into your field, right? Consciously choosing our thoughts, acknowledging when they're not conscious, coming back to that unconditional positive regard for everything that is, allowing ourselves to just be bathed in that experience just for this hour. You know, it's not necessarily something that we can always, all the time, all of us take with us everywhere we go. But over time we could. And in this moment, we can just let it be now, just for this hour, playing with what it would feel like to let go of our worries and cares, to surrender them. Just surrender them up, offer them up. I literally imagine like I hold the worry or the care. Sometimes I'll imagine it as if it's a really deep thinking worry or care. I'll imagine like my head lifts open and then the universe, right? That matrix of divinity just kind of pulls it up and decides what's best to do with it, right? We can also offer it like from our hands. Imagine that we are offering that up to the divine. Whatever worries, whatever cares, whatever uncertainties exist for us in this moment, right? Kind of all bubbling on the surface. But these are practices that we take with us every moment. If we can connect really to the sheer power of these practices during this real real time, right? We begin to build their strength. We begin to build the way that they live in the body, in the heart, in the mind. They are more accessible, they are more strong, they're more readily available, and we can more easily remember to connect to them as we build them under periods of duress. So with the body full of vitality, full of energy, full of wellness, full of consciousness, draw the breath in. Let your awareness just ride on the breath in and out of the nose. If ujjayi is part of your practice, that little constriction at the back of the throat as you inhale and exhale that helps create that sound like an ocean wave, you could bring ujjayi in. If you've never practiced ujjayi before, it's perfectly safe to practice on your own. And it's also perfectly common to feel like you can't get a really deep breath when ujjayi is new. In any way that you're breathing, just feel the breath filling the container that is the body. Feel the breath ushering in more aliveness and really getting the aliveness that's there to start to move around every single bone, every single layer of connective tissue, muscle, and fascia, every single organ right now bathed and swirling around it is prana. It is this vitality that you are drawing into the body, the chest, the heart, the rib cage, the lungs widening, expanding their capacity to hold health, to hold balance, to hold vitality. 3 more conscious breaths like that, really sending the breath in your mind's eye through your body, encapsulating and circling wherever in your body the greatest amount of vitality and balance is held, is needed. On your next inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. We're going to bend that left elbow and bring the right hand over to the elbow, drawing the arm towards the midline of the body. If reaching up and over to find a C shape, curving in that direction would feel nice. Maybe even kind of pressing the hip out to the side. Come back to center, release, feel that wave, travel down the arm, sensation brought again into the body. And then the other arm reaches up, that elbow bends. We'll take the other hand to it. First, just find a sensation of stretch. And then we'll slowly begin to, if it feels intelligent, right? Not all of us will need any more bending to find sensation, but we could. And then we could also press that hip out to the side, creating even more length along that right side. And come back to center, release, bring the arms by the sides. Feel that wave of sensation start to move through the upper body. And then we're going to bring our blocks so that they are at the front of our mat. We're going to utilize them in our next couple movements. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands to the ground or blocks. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to knees or thighs. Exhale, forward. Root the feet down. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, bring the arms down by the sides. Ujjayi still if you want to practice or continue. Inhale up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the blocks as your left foot steps back to pyramid. Slide the blocks back so that they're underneath your shoulders. Let the body go. The legs are still strong. The torso and the neck release. Keep that left hand on the block. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Maybe you just maintain this posture and allow this to be the extent to which you take it. Maybe that right arm reaches up to the sky. Your gaze can stay down, forward so it follows the chest, or turn up past the fingertips. And then bring that top hand down, step that back foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root down, reach up, merge, rooting with rising. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. As you travel down, feel the difference between the right and the left leg. Inhale up. And then exhale, hand to blocks as you step the right foot back this time. So again, the legs are strong, the feet are rooting down. And then the body just releases. So the only exception to that is if there is any degenerative discs, bulging discs, anything going on in the low back, it's really advisable to stay long in the spine, more upright and long. And if I tilt my sit bones up, just kind of curve my low back and tilt my sit bones up, I can create a deeper stretch without going down. Right, so just keep that in mind in your practice. So many of us have things going on with our low back. And so we really want to take good care of our low back as we practice, not exacerbate anything that might be going on. So the same thing, the right hand stays down. We can bring the left hand to the left waist and just start to open like that. Or we might reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Again, the options to look up, forward, facing the same direction as the chest, or down. Bring the top hand down, send the back foot forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach, come all the way up. Exhale, hands move through the heart. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, send the left foot back again this time. This time though, we're gonna send it back long enough to find our lunge stance. Find the breath. We're gonna stay low, fingertips on blocks, but see if you can make the weight in those fingertips minimal. So with a much wider stance, on an exhale, we're gonna move back to pyramid, but we're not gonna stay there long, so keep your feet far apart. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. 3 times. Inhale, forward. And exhale, back. So when I inhale and come forward, I try to go low enough that I feel a stretch in the front of that left hip, and then exhale back. That might have been 3. We'll do one more just to be sure. Step your back foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Get strong in the legs, strong in the back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands through the heart, arms by the sides. Just pause here in Tadasana for a second. Feel the difference between the right and the left. Feel the way that energy moves through your body. Acknowledge its presence. Acknowledge it, the way that it expresses itself. Inhale, reach all the way back up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, we'll send the right foot back this time. So again, right, coming into our lunge stance, finding that distance between the feet, maybe even our front thigh finds something somewhat parallel to the ground. And then we just want to get light for a second on our fingertips, really activate the legs, ensure they're doing all the work. And then exhale, send it back, long pyramid so the stretch will feel different. Inhale forward. Again, come as low as you like until you feel a stretch at the front of that right hip. Exhale back. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Inhale forward. One more time. And then step it forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach, come all the way up. Exhale, hands through the heart, arms by the sides. Pause in Tadasana and just allow yourself to connect to the experience. Right? Just allow yourself to feel the way the movement, the asana, the breath, the postures, all of that starts to fill, right? I can feel my body filled even more with a like a bolstering of the aliveness that was already there. Notice for you how the experience lands. Even noticing that I just don't have that much awareness of my body. That is a great thing to notice. That's really what I noticed for about my first decade of practicing yoga is I really don't feel in my body. You know, I can make it do all these things, but that subtle aliveness, right, that we hear about in yoga, the ability to feel into the energy, you know, that was really lost on me for a long time. But, you know, with a dedicated practice, absolutely anything is possible. And as we practice feeling into our energy bodies, the subtlest aspects of our being, we are so attuned with our organism that we know, you know, as soon as that first little thing starts to go wrong or is off in the body, we can correct, right? We can start to make decisions and bring things back into our life that are balancing and harmonious so that maybe we don't necessarily have to, right, get hit over the head with something big and something truly life-altering and detrimental, which of course happens to yogis who are tuned to their sensitivity too, but maybe we can minimize, right, the number of times that has to happen in our life. Maybe we can minimize and accentuate, right, our birthright to feel good in this body, to feel good in this body. Shift your weight into your right foot. We're going to move into tree pose, into Vrikshasana. So you're going to start to come up onto your left toes. As you shift your weight into your right foot, come up onto your left toes. Find your drishti, find your focal point on the ground, something in front of you, not moving. Maintain that focus, and then you could choose, you could just kind of play with your balance. You could bring that foot up to the ankle, up to the calf, maybe reach down and bring it all the way up above the knee. Right, from here, a little bit of activation in the glutes, right? So we find there's not a clenching, just a gentle activation. That left knee presses back. And then maybe we reach one or both arms up to the sky. Sometimes I just like to do the one, keeping the other hand close to the foot. If that other ankle is accessible, you could try wrapping your hand around that ankle, and then the pressure on the inner thigh is alleviated and balance is a little bit more accessible. And then gently release back to center. I like to just roll out that standing ankle for a second. Bring my awareness back in. Feel the aliveness, right? As we kind of place a ton of pressure on that inner thigh with our foot, or our inner calf with that foot, or even our ankle, right? As we place pressure on the body, as we remove that pressure, we create an opening just for fluids and lymph and prana and energy, everything to move through. So we'll move into Vrikshasana on the other side. Shift your weight into your left foot. Find your drishti on the ground in front of you, not moving. That foot comes up to the ankle. Maybe it comes up to the calf. Or maybe we reach down and bring it up inside the thigh. So again, notice if you'd like to keep that hand around the ankle. Right, proportions of arms and all kinds of things come into play here. So it just may or may not even feel good. And then reach maybe one or both arms to the sky. You could also keep the hands close for more balance, or you could go to a wall. And then gently release, come back to center. Again, anything that you'd like with that ankle to bring just even sensation back in. And then bring your awareness back into the body. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bring the hands around behind you. Interlace your hands behind your back. Maybe bring the palms together, which might mean that the elbows stay really bent. See if you can, if you are moving the arms towards straight, you want to do so with the palms together, right? That ensures that the same amount of twist and opening happens all the way up through the elbows and through the shoulders. We'll take the feet a little bit wider than the hips, and then we're going to gently begin to soft knees, fold forward. Release your hands down. Turn your toes out. Come down into a squat. Now you've got blocks too, right? So if coming down into a squat and using blocks under the seat, right, feels more supportive and more appropriate, you can bring that block to wherever you need it. And you might need 2 blocks, right? You might need to stack the blocks up. Again, depending on our proportions. Find the breath. Allow the hips to be heavy. Feel really rooted and grounded. Notice any thoughts of wishing something was different. Start to surface here. Let go. Be with the body as it is. Allow the body the freedom to just be without criticism, without judgment. Just allow the body to be. Right? Surrendering to what is here in the body. Start to bring your hands, come all the way down to a seat and to Sukhasana, right? So I'm going to bring the blanket underneath my sit bones to create a little bit of lift, and then come into my cross-legged seat. From here, again, just establish presence, really allowing yourself to feel the support of the body, of the seat, of the props beneath you, and even noticing, how different does it feel to come into Sukhasana. Before class started, I was sitting in Sukhasana doing a meditation before I turned on the video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stiff and so sore. But after having, moved for the first half of our practice, now I come and I sit and I feel this sense of ease in the body, right? The joints don't feel quite as bound and contracted as they did. And this traditionally, thousands of years old, traditionally, this is how the practice works. It's asana, it's pranayama, and then it's meditation. Right before that, there's all kinds of ways of living in the world, right? Of being a good person. But then there's 12 of those. And then there's asana, pranayama, right? A turning into the self, a self-study, that witness consciousness that we've been talking about, the ability to step back and to see, when is my thinking mind starting to take me away? When are sensations coming up that are not what I want them to be, and I find myself wishing there was something different, or criticizing or judging myself for something I did to create this experience, whatever it is, that the ways in which the mind can take over are endless, it seems. So, but we notice it's that witness consciousness, right? That svadhyaya, that self-study that we bring into the practice. And then the mindfulness, the concentration, and then the meditation, right? There's like this linear stepping stones through which we would move into the practices. So let's follow that. That same trajectory that the ancients would have followed, and bring in some pranayama. So to do so, make sure that the seat is really comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you can't enjoy pranayama. You can't enjoy a lot of things, right? So maybe we even sit up on something really high, even a chair, a cushion off of the couch. If we have a bolster at home, we can sit up on a bolster. I don't have any of those props nearby, or else I'd be happy to demonstrate, but you know how to sit up taller if the hips or the knees are just not feeling so great today. Make your body comfortable. From there, place your hands. I'm going to place my hands palms face down. I feel like I need a lid on my thinking mind today. So I'm going to place my hands palms face down. You might be feeling very receptive and open and want to embody that through placing the palms face up. The third mudra that I gravitate towards most often is just bringing the 10 fingertips together and resting them in the lap in Hakini mudra. Choose one of those for yourself. Close your eyes. Turn your awareness to your breath. Experience the breath just at the nostrils, moving in and out of the nostrils. Which is easier? Pulling the breath in, or letting the breath go? Receiving or giving? Do you feel the breath as temperature? Does it feel cooler or warmer when the breath moves in and then out? Where does the breath go once you move past the nostrils? How do you experience your body receiving the breath? Does the belly move with the breath? Extend out as the breath comes in, and then pull back in as the breath moves out. Does the body respond in that way to the breath? Or does the body need to relearn that rhythm with the breath? And we're going to do Samavriti. So Sama means balance, means same. Vritti means fluctuations, right? Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha. Those of us that are familiar with the sutras, that's kind of the one sutra we hear all the time. Yoga, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha, right? Yoga quiets or stills the fluctuations of the mind. So Samavriti, same, balancing, vrittis, fluctuations, helps us to calm and quiet the thinking mind. So knowing that that is the promise of this pranayama, just allow yourself to surrender to the experience of the practice. And when it's over, notice, do the chitta vrittis, right? Those fluctuations in my mind. Do I notice that there is a settling, a calming, or a softening of them? Or do I need the pranayama maybe a little bit longer to experience that? So I'm going to walk you through it. We're all just going to sync up by pulling a deep breath in, holding it just for a second at the top, and then out of the mouth, let it go. Inhale to a count of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale through the nose, slowly, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you might need to slow down the breath to make it 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last time, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Through the nose, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold at the bottom, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe naturally. All right, so Dhyaya, one of the 8 limbs of yoga, the self-study, as potent and powerful as any other aspect of the practice is this: to allow ourselves to sit in the frequency, sit in the response of the practices. How does the practice land? What is your experience of thought? What is your ability to be present in the body, to be settled in unconditional positive regard for everything that is? Could you allow just a moment, just one moment of basking in the quiet and the stillness? Quiet again the chitta vrittis by acknowledging any thoughts that surface. Right? Chitta vrittis are the fluctuations of the mind. Imagine the mind like a deep, still surface, so calm it's like glass, mountain lake. Sitting there at the edge, mountains behind the lake in your view. A beautiful spring day. The meadows in front of the mountains and behind the lake are just filled with purple, yellow, white, and pink flowers. The sun shines on you in just a soft, gentle way. Like those UV rays, adding another element of cleansing and purification to the experience. As you bask in the warmth of the sun, the mind is deep and calm and placid as the lake in front of you. As stillness and contentment takes over the experience, you're allowed to rest in the simplicity of just being. There's nothing for you to do. Feel how okay you are. Feel how okay the world is. Feel the okayness of this moment. Feel that throughout your day. Reorient your attention towards what is well, what is harmonious, what is balanced, what feels good. Slowly begin to open your eyes and bring yourself back. And we're going to make our way onto our backs. So you'll want a block close by, or maybe you want to do bridge without a block, which of course is an option too. I'll demonstrate with. So we're going to come back. Maybe you move really slow, activating the core all along the way. And then just keep the knees bent, soles of the feet on the ground. If you want to move into bridge without the blocks, you're just going to press the elbows down by the sides. Actually, let's just all do it without the block first. I think that's good to wake up the whole back of the body, the whole posterior chain of muscles. So your palms face one another, the elbows press down, the back of the head presses down, so much that the chest lifts, and you can snuggle the little shoulder blades towards one another. And then on an inhale, you'll lift the hips coming into bridge pose. So your inclination might be to interlace the hands behind the back, right? Because that will distribute a lot of the weight to the upper arms. So when you really need to, right? When bridge no longer feels supportive, the engagement of the body is not supportive, then maybe interlace the hands behind the back. But see if you can just really use the body to lift and support you here. Slowly lower the body down. Let the feet go wide and the knees rest into one another. The arms are going to come up overhead. The elbows are bent. And I'm sorry, I've got this new microphone that the arms are up overhead. The elbows are bent and resting easy on the ground. Right, just that wave of attention, that wave of self-study, washing through the body. We're going to set ourselves up for just rest in the easiness, the steadiness of the body. And then slowly come all the way down off of the block or off all the way into the chest. If you would like to make the twist a little bit deeper, you're going to cross the right knee over the left. Maybe you want to just keep the twist as it is and keep the knees together, slowly lowering the knees to the left towards that elbow. Find the breath. You could also, if the knees aren't crossed, choose to straighten that top leg and find the outside edge of the foot with your hand. Gently release, bring the knees back up through center. Over to the right side. Again, the option here, if the knees aren't crossed, you could straighten that top leg and reach out with the right hand for the foot. Gently release, come back up to center. We're all going to set our feet down and cross the right knee over the left, and then draw that shape. Bring that back towards you, hugging the knees towards the chest, creating a stretch for the hips. Or maybe the feet are accessible and you can use the feet to draw the knees in. 5 deep breaths. Conscious, present, awake. Gently release, set the feet down, pause and feel. And then cross the left knee over the right. Again, bringing the shape, right? You can just kind of hug the knees in and get a stretch. Maybe the feet are accessible And you can use the feet to draw the knees in closer. 5 deep breaths, conscious, present, and awake to every breath. And then release. Bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees fall out to the side in Baddha Konasana. Allow the body to recalibrate. A layer of receptivity moves in as we move away from doing and into being. From here, just settle into Shavasana. Maybe you'd like Supta Baddha Konasana for Shavasana. Maybe you would like to extend the legs straight. Maybe put props, blankets, bolsters under the knees or under the spine. Really just take a moment to consider the body's communication, and then set yourself up for Shavasana in whatever way you see fit. And for these last few moments of our practice, we're really practicing again that surrendering. So much of just learning about how to live with and understand what we do, have influence on and what we don't. Right? It always comes back to this body, this heart, this mind, this experience. Your own experience is the only thing you can consistently always influence. Feel gratitude, send gratitude, awaken gratitude for showing up on your mat, knowing that in orientation, right, towards the fullness of your being is what you're stepping into. Subconsciously or consciously making that choice for yourself to align with that. Not only for this practice, but as long as it lingers and follows you throughout the day. Gently begin to bring yourself back. Feel into the aliveness that amplifies the communication from the body as you choose how and when to move. Let the mind continue to rest in the background as the body takes the lead, guiding you back into a comfortable seat. Once seated, bring a hand to the heart and a hand to the belly. Again, just offering up that gratitude, that receptivity, the openness towards surrender. Today, we'll close with another poem, another prayer by Tosha Silver from her book, Change Me Prayers. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart. The prayer starts and goes like this. Change me, divine beloved, into the one who can be widely open to life as it comes. Let me release what wants to leave and welcome what wants to come, trusting that my needs are always met. Help me live from full openness and trust. May you move, breathe, live, talk, act, and think with openness and trust. Thank you all for being here this morning. Namaste.